Welcome back to the Scott Hepler Football Channel. This afternoon we're going to be going through our post-match ponderings regarding the Manchester City Tottenham game that just finished up today. Man City beat the Spurs 3-0. This is something I kind of thought would happen in the last 5 matches. Whoever's won has been the home team. So, the Spurs had 2 wins, we were at home. Man City had 2 wins, they were at home, and sandwiched in between there was a draw at Man City, by the way. And I didn't think this was going to be a very high-scoring game. I figured it was going to be pretty tight for most of the game. That's the way the last 5 to 10 games between these 2 teams have been, and so it's usually pretty competitive. So with that being said, we're going to get right into discussing the match and the results and what that means for Spurs. So the Spurs are left in 8th position after this game with 36 points. Right behind them is Aston Villa with 35 points in 9th. They're playing Brighton today. With a win, they're going to push us down to 9th. A draw would still push us down to 9th because they'll have the goal differential on us. But definitely a position that we really needed the win, because it could have propelled us up towards that top 5, or we're going to be lingering down here near 10th. So also coming up, Leeds and Arsenal play tomorrow, and Leeds is in 10th and Arsenal is in 11th. So depending on how that does, it's going to have a long ways to go into where our positioning is going to be in the next week or 2. So as far as Man City, this continues to lead them in first place, 7 points ahead of Leicester. So they've won 11 games in a row in the Premier League. They have not lost a Premier League game since the Spurs beat them back in November. And so also what this does for the race for the top 5 is there's only 7 points separating 10th to 5th. So there's a lot of teams logged in right there in that 10th to 5th spot. And so it's going to be a very tough haul for anyone to come out in that 5th spot or even try to push for that number 4 spot. I think the top 3 are kind of settling in, and it's going to be a battle between those 3 who's going to take the championship this year. But it's really that 4th and 5th spot that's the most meaningful for the Spurs right now. And we just put ourselves a step behind where we need to be to get there. So what I want to talk about is I want you all to ponder upon these things: the good, the bad, the ugly. So what do you think we did well today? As far as myself, I feel like there's a few players that did pretty good. And Ndombele, for one, I felt like he's actually surprised me in how well he plays defensively, especially when he's back there behind the attacking midfielder. I didn't think that was something that was part of his game, but in the last few games he's really kind of stepped up and shown that he can be an assistance in that midfield, as far as keeping the opponents from driving right through us. He's not just an offensive threat. So I feel like that's a positive that's come out of not just this game in the first half, especially, and recent games previously. That Ndombele is really showing that he can do more than just attack with the ball. He's not just an offensive threat. He'll get in there, he'll make some tackles, he'll cut off some lanes. I've been very impressed with him the last few games. The other thing with Ndombele, I feel he actually plays better behind the attacking midfielder. As soon as they moved Musa in and moved Ndombele up to the attacking midfield position, he was not as effective, not only attacking, but also defending. So I feel like he plays a little bit better when he's back there closer to Højbjerg, just behind that attacking midfielder, kind of in between Højbjerg and that attacking midfielder. I think what that actually does for him, and maybe, I don't know, maybe y'all see it differently, let me know down in the comments. I feel like he sees the field better back there. And I feel like he has a little more room to operate because he's not pushed up against the defensive midfield of the other team and the defender. So it gives him a little room to operate, a little room to maneuver, get his momentum going, pick his head up, see what's going on, and either pick out a pass or try to get through a couple players, which he can do. So I've been impressed with Ndombele, not just this game, especially the first half, but the last few games. Another thing that I thought was kind of a positive seeing in this game was Tanganga out on the right back. Was a little concerned how he would hold up out there, and I actually, in my opinion, I thought he did well against the Man City technical players. They got a lot of technical players out there. He held up well. I think he's physical enough. He's got enough pace. He can do that. And in my opinion, where he lacks in certain aspects with experience and such, I don't think it's any worse than having Doherty or Aurier in there. So I think Tanganga might be an option on that right back right now. And even I know he's played left back a time or two also in the past. So putting him on one of the outside backs is not a terrible option. I think he can actually hold his own out there a little bit. And I thought that was a positive because I thought he held up pretty well against a very strong attacking team today. And then this could probably be argued. I mean, a lot of fouls and probably could have had 2 or 3 yellows in this game. But I thought Lamela, again, as he's done in the last few games, brought a lot of energy and aggression towards in the midfield, which we need. And I thought he had a decent game today. I thought it was pretty good. Definitely think he deserves to continue to be a part of the squad, whether it's starting or coming off the bench with 20, 30 minutes left, because I think he brings a lot of energy into that midfield, which we definitely need. If we didn't have him in there today, I don't know what our attack would have looked like. It would have been pretty devoid of any aggression or energy. He provides a lot of that for us. But there again, you know, he's just got to be a little smarter on his challenges and tackles and things like that. But other than that, I think he's provided a lot of positives for us the last few games. So next we're going to talk about the bad. What do you think? So again, we're going good, bad, ugly. So bad's kind of, it's not middle of the road, but it's not the worst. So in the bad here, we're going to talk about where I think some things to clean up are, and that would actually be a pretty easy thing to clean up, and or make some minor modifications to affect how this team operates. And one of the things that I thought was bad within this game today, and y'all let me know what you think too in the comments, is the lack of technical touch on the ball by our players. And it wasn't just a few here and there and everywhere. There were quite a few times where our guys were just giving the ball up, poor touches, heavy touches, just were not handling the ball well at all. And it allowed the Man City players to get all over us and take the ball away repeatedly in a number of occasions. And it also really hurt us in some of the times that we were trying to counterattack. It killed the counters quite a bit in some very poor touches. So that's something I think that we've shown in the past that we're better than that, and why that's occurring. And it's not just this game, it's happened in previous games. Why that's happening, it can be a couple different things. Players are just tired. They may be tired, fatigued, or we're just not positioning ourselves well to receive the ball and take the ball and do something with it. So there's a couple things there. The first half I felt was not very, for the energy we had on the field, I don't think we produced very much offensively. Other than Lamela, I feel like and Kane and Son, do their thing, but even they weren't quite up to the energy they usually have. But beyond that, I didn't think there was a lot going on. And Ndombele made a few nice turns a few times. got in the middle. There were some couple nice little knifing cuts, cutting passes through the center of the midfield once in a while. But for the most part, I felt like our offense wasn't very adept at attacking Man City. And part of that is definitely due to the poor touch on the ball, the poor passing that occurred. But that's definitely something we got to show more offensive prowess if we're going to get any results. Other than Kane's penalty shot, I really didn't feel we had any great opportunities in that first half. And then the other thing that I kind of put in this bad category, and let me know what you all think, is our team pressing is I don't know. I don't know what we're doing as a team when we're pressing, because it seems like we got 2 or 3 players chasing the ball while everyone else is just standing around watching them. And those 2 or 3 players are constantly they're getting tired. So then no one's doing a team press. And if that's not what we're supposed to do, that's fine. Let's don't do it and wear our guys out. If we're supposed to get back in our little shell, if that's what Jose wants, then do it. But if we're going to press, we all need to press, because there's too many easy passes for the opposition. And I understand this is Man City. Quality is very high there. But we can't just have a couple guys chasing down the ball every time. We're not going to be successful. All we're going to do is burn up all their energy, and they're not going to be effective in the other aspects of the game. So that's kind of what I thought was the bad things. And then the ugly. Oh boy. As far as the ugly, the defense as a whole, if there's one glaring weakness in this team, it's got to be the defense across the board. We've got some young pieces, some decent pieces, but there's just too many regular errors that happen within this defense. And we need a major overhaul this summer. That's just what it's going to boil down to, at least in the 2 central spots. I don't see any of our central defenders being frontline starters right now. None of them. And whether that's, Jose is supposed to be a defensive mastermind, and that's where we're struggling the most, I feel. I think part of we are struggling to score goals and be offensive, but part of that is because he wants us just to kind of absorb a lot of pressure a lot of times. And I think the defense has just been pretty rough. Too many open gaps, too many times we're just making silly fouls. And it's not just our defense, it's all along we've had in the midfield too a lot of silly fouls. So the defense as a whole, the team defense, is just kind of not even very up to par, I would say. And that, which is a great contrast to the way we started the season. So kind of begs the question, maybe y'all can answer this, were we just kind of lucky and people were figuring us out early in the season? Now that they figured us out, it's not that difficult to beat us, and this is what we are now, and what we were before was not really a great snapshot of what we really are. I'm kind of think, because if nothing else, I would think Jose would be able to put a solid defense together. If we were what we were at the beginning of the season, that I would think would be able to remain consistent. Because the only thing that's changed since the beginning of the season is we've had a couple injuries in the outside backer positions or this or that. But the central core of it, the center backs, we've had all those people healthy the entire season. So there's really no reason why our center backs are playing so poorly. I don't think. That's my opinion. But another subject on the ugly. We're into the ugly. Sanchez. Oh my gosh. He actually had some decent moments kind of starting out the game, but anything he does well is completely overshadowed by the critical errors he makes on a regular basis. And I know the long ball over the top showed, really, for as big a guy as he is, he doesn't have a lot of strength. And no matter how well he does outside of these critical errors, it's not going to matter, because all these critical errors lead to things. There were more critical errors than even the goal that they gave up because of the long ball and other things, that he made some critical errors that could have led to goals that they just did not cash in on or do anything with. So, and there are so many times that he's out of position. He seems to have trouble with finding where he's supposed to be, who he's supposed to be marking, what he's supposed to be doing at any given time. To me, more than anything, he's putting such a strain on everyone around him because he does not know where he needs to be. And because of that, it brings down everyone else around him defensively, because now they're all like, he's not where he's supposed to be. I've got to worry not just about where I'm supposed to be, but also where he's leaving a hole. So I think Sanchez, for all his athletic ability, just does not fit the bill for someone that should be playing and starting against the elite of the Premier League right now. Another ugly, we'll call it ugly, another ugly bullet point is Mora. Oh my gosh. I know he's had a good run, a couple games, but he just does not, to me, should not be in the middle. He's got great pace. He can be good on the ball, dribbling and such. But he is not that guy in the middle that's going to do any kind of link-up play or anything that really connects and drives us forward. The entire first half, he was giving up the ball left and right. Looked lost. I know why Jose wanted him in there, because when we were in a defensive set, when we were back in our half, and we were more of a 4-4-2, and he wanted Mora and Kane up there so we could maybe hopefully spring Mora out. And I get that. He got the speed, and he could probably outrun about any one of their defensive backs or center backs and outside backs that they have, but it never did occur. We never had the opportunity because our passing was poor, our defense was poor, and then when we actually tried to attack, he wasn't doing anything. If anything, I would prefer to see Lamela inside, in the middle, in that attacking midfield position, and more out on the outside where he can attack on the wing and put something in across or do something. He just does not do well in that midfield, the middle of the midfield, trying to drive things forward, in my opinion. He got yanked off at halftime. And you know that when Jose does that, you're not doing well. So, to me, it's better to have, and the reason why I'd rather have Lamela in, and if you're going to have Mora out there, have him out on the wing, is Lamela's not as fast. You put Mora out there, he can burn down that sideline a little more than Lamela. And Lamela's looking to cut in almost every time anyway from the outside, so you kind of lose that outside width when he's cutting in. So if you leave Mora outside, he'll stay out there a little more, or Bergwijn or Bell or whoever, keep some width, because it seemed like everything came narrow for us with Mora in the middle, between Son and Kane and Mora and then Lamela out here, and so they all kind of like to flow into the middle. You saw a lot of times Kane moving out wide because it was just getting too crowded in that middle, and which it's nice to be able to allow our guys to flow and interchange and stuff, but we just don't do it effectively. I mean, Man City's a good example of their forwards moving interchangeably inside, outside, working. But one thing they always do is they maintain width. We get in a very, very funnel-like mentality when we're attacking, and it just does not do anything to help us. And you saw it a lot of times on our counter breaks. We'd be counter breaking, and the guy carrying the ball had no one to pass to because they're all right there around him, and that brings all the defenders right there around him. So there's nowhere to pass through because everyone's there congested. Their team, our team, everything. So even on the counter breaks, we couldn't be effective because no one wanted to create any width. But I feel Mora definitely should not be in that midfield anymore. He just doesn't do enough. He's not dynamic enough. He doesn't pick things out. He's not picking his head up. He likes to dribble, and he can do that out on the wing more, but in the middle, he's got to be able to pick his head up and find those lanes and gaps he can push the ball through. And then the last thing in the ugly column are the subs. And for me, when Mourinho brought in Sissoko, in my opinion, I felt like he was saying, we're just going to try to get a point and hang on to a tie. That's all we want. That's all I want to do for the rest of the second half, is try to not concede anything and grab a point and get out of here with a tie. Nice thought, but Sissoko's not the only one that's going to help defend. The rest of the defense was leaky quite a bit in the first half. So for me, I would have rather seen, if you're going to pull more off, leave Ndombele back there where he was successful in that first half with Højbjerg, him on that pivot. Leave Ndombele back there. Bring in Bergwijn, or even if you want to bring in Ali earlier, which I don't think Ali is even half the player he used to be. But bring in Bergwijn. He's played in that central midfielder position before, and he'll be more of an attacking threat, and leave Ndombele where he can be more. And give us an opportunity. Give us an opportunity to go and grab 3 points. Because to me, he was conceding, we're going to grab 1 point at best. To me, Jose gave up on the game with the way he subbed. And then, if you're going to bring in Bell, bring him in earlier. I mean, I understand Lamela was working hard and whatnot, but, if we're going to use Bell, let's use him. Give him more than 15, 20 minutes to affect the game. It takes a little bit for some of these players to get into the flow game, especially when they're not getting a regular run of games. And we saw that he did get a good opportunity off. Bell did. But, his subs just didn't do a lot for me. I think he basically was conceding that we're not going to win this thing, and the best we can do is come away with a draw. And that was kind of depressing to see that, and if you're trying to get in the mind of Jose. But for me, that was pretty unfortunate. But we got Europa League coming up this middle of the week on Thursday, and then another Premier League game on Sunday. So Jose's got to get this figured out. Team's got to figure this out, because part of it's the players. It's not all Jose. It's not all the players. It's a combination of the two. And we do have an opportunity here to go out. I think we need to put our strongest team forward in this Europa League game, because I would hate for us to go and play soft and then need to get a win in the replay for that Europa League. And then it's just up to chance. I mean, you kind of leave it more up to chance. I'd rather us go out, get the win now, and put us out on the front foot for that Europa League game. Because right now, within the Premier League, maybe I'm wrong. Y'all let me know what you think about this. I think we're not even really going to be fighting for top 5. I think we're going to be fighting to stay above the top 10 now with where we're at. And a couple teams around us and above us have games in hand on us. So their ability to move into that top 5 position is a lot easier than ours is. And especially with our run of form. I mean, Premier League, we've won 1 and lost 4 of our last 5. So I definitely think if we want to do anything this year and have a chance to get into European competition next year, it's through Europa League. we're out of the FA Cup, so can't get there. So Europa's it. I just don't see it top 5 at all. So let me know what you all think. Appreciate you chiming in and make those comments down there on the things I asked, and give me your thoughts. Maybe you know more than what maybe you see something I'm not. So, but like, subscribe, and comment. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good day, and let's get back after it this week. Come on, you Spurs.